If there is one thing I've noticed in doing this channel, it's that logging work is impossible to predict. The hazards are constantly changing and developing, and you are almost always at risk no matter what you are doing. Raymond was a 64-year-old logger working deep in the woods outside Todd, North Carolina. That morning he was felling trees by hand, chainsaw, muscle, and instinct, just like he'd always had. Every tree is different, and every cut is a judgment call. In fact, each area you stand is a unique set of hazards. And out there, the only real protection you have is your awareness and your ability to anticipate. Raymond was focused on the trees in front of him, but the tree that made this his last shift wasn't the one he was even working on. A tall, isolated locust tree, about 40 feet high, suddenly uprooted somewhere to his left. Maybe it had been loosened by earlier work. Maybe the vibration from other falling timber weakened its hold. Either way, it came down fast and at a bad angle. Raymond was in the middle of operations, just feet from where the trunk hit the ground. He was struck in the head by the falling tree and suffered fatal crushing injuries. There was no time to react, no way to brace or anticipate. No warning shout, just silence, then impact. The investigation team was at a loss. They weren't sure the company had violated any safety rules judging by the details they gathered. Instead, they focused on the fact that Raymond was missing a piece of PPE, chainsaw-resistant leg protection. But that wasn't the cause of death. What really failed here was hazard awareness and job site control. No spotter or exclusion zone, no buffer around the felling area to keep people clear of unexpected tree movement. Logging is one of the most dangerous jobs in the country, and at 64 years old, Raymond probably knew that better than anyone. But even experienced workers can be surprised by a tree that moves where no one expects. OSHA fined the company a total of $1,500 for the unrelated violation they found. That's all. A man was killed by a falling tree while doing his job, and the penalty was $1,500. Is this a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or is this just the cost of doing business in the woods? Let me know your thoughts down below. Victor was a 60-year-old electrician working at a commercial job site in Crest Hill, Illinois, and he had just a few more hours left to go in his shift before going home for the day. He and several others were running power cables around the outside of a massive commercial freezer, the drive-in kind used in warehouses to store entire pallets of frozen goods. The team was using a scissor lift to reach the high points, working in tandem to get everything connected before the end of the day. The scissor lift was crowded with other workers and their materials and tools. It was big enough that each worker could perform their work on their little part that were parked next to. Oftentimes the workers needed to get in and get out frequently, standing on top of the freezer itself. Victor was wiring something up but needed to get out of the lift to finish it. He pressed the lever, swung the gate open, and stepped out. What happened next would make this Victor's last shift. Carrying the tools and the materials he needed on the roof of the freezer made him unbalanced, and as soon as he left the safety of the scissor lift, he stumbled, and then fell off the roof of the freezer and plummeted the full height of 25 feet onto the cement floor below. That is a height of 2.5 basketball hoops stacked on top of each other. He was killed instantly on contact, and everything he was holding scattered across the floor from the force of the impact. And the most tragic part of this story is that he was wearing a harness and lanyard, devices that are designed to stop you from hitting the ground in a free fall. They just weren't connected to anything. It is likely that all the workers got tired of hooking and unhooking as they got in and out of the scissor lift doing their work on the freezer. It's also likely none of them were hooking it at all. But that was the immediate cause of Victor's death, not using his equipment. This was the first failure. Why didn't he attach his lanyard? During the investigation, they also found that the company that hired Victor hadn't officially trained him on how to use his equipment. He was wearing his harness but not using it. Did Victor know how to use it? OSHA couldn't find any evidence that he did. OSHA fined the company a total $20,000 for the violations that led to Victor's death. What do you think? Was this death preventable? Should a company be allowed to put someone in a harness and call it good without giving them anything to connect it to or training? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Caleb was 23 years old. He worked the night shift at a cotton gin in Rotan, Texas, a place where giant machines run day and night breaking down raw cotton and prepping it for processing. It was just after 2:30 in the morning when he approached the upender, a heavy-duty piece of equipment designed to tilt and rotate large bundles of cotton so they can be repositioned during processing. It was powerful, mechanical, and unforgiving. Caleb had been tasked with running it tonight. A different associate dropped a giant roll of cotton on it with a forklift and then sped off, leaving Caleb alone to rotate it. He would be back in a few moments to take it away in its new position. He pressed the button and watched as the cradle tilted over with its load, but it was heavy, and the weight shifted its position on the platform as it rotated. Caleb panicked. Against his better judgment, he rushed over to the other side to try and brace the load himself, to keep it in position, hoping it wouldn't fall off. And then something terrible happened, which would make this Caleb's last shift. As he stood there, trying to support the impossible weight of the cotton bale, he stood where the machine was coming back down on the other side. He was caught and crushed to death by the unstoppable force of the upender's motor and the weight of the cotton bale it was bringing back down. It was the forklift operator who found him first, coming back to pick up the bale he dropped off a moment ago. Why did this happen? The first failing of the cotton company was that they hadn't officially trained anybody, including Caleb, on the safe operation of the upender machine. We can only imagine what his instructions were, once upon a time. But the most significant failing of the company was that the upender machine didn't have any guards to keep people away once it was activated. Anybody and anything could have come right up to it at any time. This was only a matter of time before something did. And unfortunately, that thing was Caleb. By the time emergency services responded, it was already too late. OSHA fined this negligent company $17,777 for their failures. A 23-year-old, working through the night, crushed by a machine he was never properly trained to use, in a facility that didn't even bother to guard the moving parts. What do you think? Was an accident like this inevitable in a workplace environment like this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.